far north Queensland, Australia, situated approximately 90 kilometres north of Cairns, in Douglas Shire's Whyanbeel Valley, lies Maraverde Nature Refuge. Legally registered with the Queensland State Government, this extensive wildlife sanctuary is easily reached from the nearby town of Mossman by taking a 14-kilometre, 15-minute drive to where Kahana Road dead ends at Maraverde's northeasternmost corner. The oblong-shaped property covers an extensive 65 hectares, or 165 square acres, that are almost entirely covered with tropical rainforest. For 1 1/3 kilometres, that's about a mile, its length is contiguous with Queensland's sprawling, World Heritage listed Daintree National Park. While Maraverde's width spans just under half a kilometre. Its short but easily navigable interior roadway, shaded and weather protected by the canopies of a wonderful avenue of trees. Along it, visitations by local cassowaries are obvious from their large, seed-filled droppings, even when these huge, flightless prehistoric birds aren't in sight. The name Maraverde is derived from a combination of the Spanish words Maravilla, meaning, among similar definitions, magnificent, and the word Verde, which, besides meaning green, also appropriately encompasses the definitions of lush and teeming. Maraverde's primarily lush, green, rainforest-covered hill slopes do indeed teem with a truly impressive diversity of tropical flora and fauna. Therefore, as successive biodiversity surveys are undertaken, the refuge's plant and animal lists will undoubtedly grow to several thousand species. Habitat-wise, Maraverde's northern 2/3 are covered with lowland rainforest, while its southern 1/3 contains 2 extensive, hill-based stands of mature eucalypt woodland. This, interspersed with a rich diversity of rainforest tree species, especially throughout the valleys. Maraverde is crossed by several large, pristine, permanent creeks. Commencing on the upper slopes of the Daintree Park, these flow eastwards towards the coast. Despite a long history under private land ownership, Maraverde has never suffered division or development, a fate typical of so many other lots of land in and around the Douglas Shire. Thus its dense covering of highly biodiverse rainforest has remained remarkably intact and undamaged throughout the decades. On an area map of 1894, the lot was as yet undesignated as a freehold block among those already platted within the Whyanbeel Valley. However, some 30 years later, in 1923, the lot had since been surveyed and so added to the private landholdings maps of the region. Never having been subdivided, the property has retained its 165-acre area to the present day. At some time during the latter half of the 19th century, the southern 1/3 of the property was logged for its timber. The open ground then turned over to cattle grazing. Typical of such habitat clearance throughout the region, This damage was obvious on satellite photos taken in 1955. This open grazing continued for more than a decade, the grassland still remaining obvious in a 1972 satellite photo. Thankfully, however, passage of the next decade saw these fields begin to be closed by eucalypt regrowth, so that by 1982 they were almost gone. 1991 satellite imagery shows well the tree canopy finally closing as the eucalypt regrowth continued. Another decade on, in the year 2000, the canopy closing was not only complete, but these now tall trees had undergone around 18 years of growth. Now, today, the open field scars have long since been healed over by a mature forest covering of lofty trees that are in excess of 30 years old. Also in 2000, whilst under earlier ownership, the driveway and house pad were cleared, running in from the property's northeasternmost corner. Extending from Kahana Road, the driveway covers about 350 metres, ending at the cleared Hill Ridge house site. Maraverde's owners, Michael and Maria Parsons, purchased the property in early 2021. Primary incentives for acquiring the lot were its large size and complete forested covering. Then, to increase the protection of its habitat, the Parsenses took steps to bring the property under conservation. By firstly registering Maraverde with the Humane Society's Wildlife Land Trust. This international initiative provides incentives and assistance to landowners worldwide to establish their properties as wildlife sanctuaries. Following this, the Parsenses worked with the Queensland State Government's Protected Area Programme to undertake general background research and a physical inspection of Maraverde that included some boundary marking. In order for the property to be officially registered as a Protected Area Nature Refuge in 2023. Maraverde's hill-based house site enjoys a spectacular view of the Coral Sea coastline and the Port Douglas headland. On very clear days, even the Cairns area coastline beyond can be visible. To facilitate work with local and global researchers, schools and universities, a modest biodiversity research facility is being planned for Maraverde. On-site ecological research will be implemented through the use of camera traps, drone surveying and various other research techniques. Resultant data will be used to compile comprehensive faunal and floral surveys, while also furthering more species-specific research. With the addition of Maraverde to Queensland's growing network of legally protected nature refuges, the future of this significant tract of tropical rainforest has now been truly safeguarded. Its protection will ultimately be in perpetuity, since the Parsenses will eventually bequeath Maraverde for its addition to the Daintree National Park.